The royal family is no stranger to tension, but a dramatic new claim involving Prince William, Princess Anne, and Queen Camilla's daughter has suddenly ignited intense speculation. According to the claim, Camilla's daughter was involved in an alleged public incident that humiliated Princess Anne, and William's reaction was reportedly nothing short of explosive. The headline is dramatic, the implications are enormous, and if such an incident had truly unfolded in public exactly as described, it would immediately raise questions about relationships inside the wider royal circle, the boundaries between royal and private family members, and the growing influence of Prince William as the future king. But there is one detail that makes this story even more intriguing. No source information has been provided confirming a public clash, establishing that Princess Anne was humiliated, or documenting an explosive reaction from Prince William. That means the alleged confrontation cannot simply be presented as established fact. No private conversation can be invented, no public insult can be manufactured, no confrontation can be described as though cameras captured it if there is no verified account of what actually happened. And yet, the claim has created exactly the kind of royal mystery that makes people stop and ask, what could possibly have happened to place William, Anne, and Camilla's daughter at the center of the same explosive story? And why would William allegedly react so strongly? Because beneath the sensational headline lies a much bigger question about the future of the monarchy, and about the people Prince William may feel most determined to protect. And once that question is asked, the story becomes far more complicated. Princess Anne occupies a unique position within the royal family. For decades, she has been associated with duty, discipline, and an extraordinary work ethic. As the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Anne grew up at the very heart of the monarchy. She witnessed the institution from inside. She watched generations change. She experienced the pressures of royal life long before William, Catherine, and their children became the public faces of the monarchy's future. And throughout those decades, Princess Anne developed a reputation for carrying out her responsibilities with remarkable consistency. That history matters, because when a dramatic headline suggests that someone publicly humiliated Anne, it immediately attracts attention. Not simply because Anne is a senior royal, but because of what she represents: continuity, experience, tradition, and a connection between the monarchy of Queen Elizabeth II and the generation now preparing to lead the institution into its next era. That is where Prince William enters the story. William is not simply another member of the royal family. He is the Prince of Wales, the heir to the throne, and the man expected to one day take responsibility for an institution that has shaped every stage of his life. As William's role becomes increasingly significant, royal watchers naturally pay closer attention to his relationships with senior members of the family. And Princess Anne is one of the most experienced figures in that inner royal world. So when the dramatic claim suggests that Anne was somehow humiliated and that William responded with anger, the story immediately creates a powerful image: the future king stepping in, the experienced Princess Royal at the center of controversy, and a wider family dispute allegedly breaking into public view. But that was only the beginning, because the mention of Camilla's daughter adds an entirely different layer to the mystery. Unlike William or Anne, Camilla's children are not working members of the royal family. Their relationship to the monarchy comes through Queen Camilla, who became queen alongside King Charles. That distinction is important. The wider family surrounding the monarchy contains people with very different roles. Some carry out official engagements. Some are directly involved in the line of succession. Others remain private citizens despite their family connections. And that means any claim involving a supposed clash between these different worlds naturally attracts enormous curiosity. Could a private family relationship suddenly become a public royal controversy? Could one alleged moment create tension between generations? Could William feel that a line had been crossed involving Princess Anne? Those are the questions the headline encourages viewers to ask, but without verified source material, the specific answers remain unknown. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The most fascinating part of the claim may not be the alleged insult at all. It may be the idea of William becoming increasingly willing to defend the people and principles he believes are important to the future of the monarchy. For years, William has existed between two worlds. On one side is the history he inherited, the traditions of the crown, the family structure established long before he was born, the expectations placed upon the heir to the throne. On the other is the future, a future monarchy that William and Catherine will eventually help define. And as that future moves closer, every relationship surrounding William becomes more significant. Who does he trust? Which senior royals share his approach to duty? How will the monarchy change under the next generation?
And perhaps most importantly, where will William draw the line when he believes the institution or someone close to him needs defending? That question may explain why the alleged story has gained attention. Because the idea of William going nuclear suggests more than ordinary frustration. It suggests a moment of absolute refusal. A moment when patience supposedly ended. A moment when the future king was said to have decided that something could not be ignored. But what exactly triggered that reaction? Here, the mystery deepens. No verified public incident has been supplied. No statement identifies what Camilla's daughter allegedly said or did. No authenticated report confirms that Princess Anne was humiliated. And no official account establishes that William responded in anger. That means the supposed details cannot be invented merely to satisfy the drama of the title. But the absence of those details creates another question. Why does the idea of Princess Anne being defended by William feel so believable to royal watchers? Perhaps the answer lies in Anne's unique position within the family. Princess Anne has spent most of her life operating within the demanding structure of royal duty. She understands the pressures William now faces. She understands what it means to represent the crown. And she has watched the monarchy survive periods of celebration, crisis, controversy, and transformation. William, meanwhile, is approaching the moment when the burden of leadership will eventually become his. The two generations are different. Their experiences are different, but they are connected by something fundamental. Both understand that royal life is not simply about titles, it is about responsibility. And responsibility can create strong bonds. What happened next in the wider conversation was even more revealing. People began asking whether this dramatic claim was really a story about one alleged confrontation, or whether it reflected a much larger fascination with the shifting balance of influence inside the royal family. King Charles is the monarch. Queen Camilla stands beside him. Princess Anne remains one of the most experienced senior royals. William and Catherine represent the future of the monarchy. And George, Charlotte, and Louis represent the generation that follows. Every major royal story is now viewed through that changing landscape. The institution is moving through a transition, not necessarily a sudden or dramatic one, but an unmistakable generational shift. And William's voice will inevitably become more important as time goes on. That does not mean he controls every decision. It does not mean every disagreement becomes a palace war. And it certainly does not mean that every sensational royal headline reflects a confirmed event. But it does mean that the public is increasingly interested in how William responds when controversy touches the people around him. And this is where Princess Anne becomes especially important. Anne has something William cannot yet have: decades of experience. She has lived through multiple eras of royal history. She knew the monarchy under her mother. She now serves during the reign of her brother. And she has watched William grow from a child into the Prince of Wales. That perspective gives her an unusual place in the family. For William, senior figures like Anne are not simply relatives, they are living links to the institution he may one day inherit. And that makes the idea of an alleged public humiliation far more significant in the imagination of royal watchers. Because if someone publicly disrespected Anne, would William see it merely as a family matter? Or would he see it as an attack on a figure who has dedicated much of her life to royal duty? The answer is unknown, but the question alone creates tension. And then the story takes another unexpected turn. The real conflict may not be between individuals at all. It may be between public expectation and private reality. The public often sees the royal family as a single, perfectly coordinated unit. But behind the official appearances are human beings: parents, children, siblings, step-relatives, in-laws, people with different personalities, histories, and priorities. Disagreement is possible in any family, but a disagreement involving the royal family immediately becomes something larger in the public imagination. A private tension can be transformed into a headline. A misunderstanding can become an alleged feud. An awkward moment can become an explosive clash. And that is precisely why claims involving identifiable people must be handled carefully. The dramatic version of this story suggests a major confrontation. The available information does not establish one. But that does not mean there is nothing to explore. Because the larger story, the changing relationships and responsibilities inside the monarchy, is very real. And William stands directly at the center of it. Every year brings him closer to the role he was born to inherit. Every public appearance is analyzed for clues about the kind of king he may become. Will he follow the model of Queen Elizabeth II? Will he build upon the approach of King Charles?
Will he and Catherine create a more streamlined monarchy? How will he manage the complex relationships surrounding the crown? And what role will experienced figures such as Princess Anne play as the next era approaches? Those questions may ultimately matter far more than any unverified public clash. But the detail that followed is what makes the story impossible to ignore. William's future is not only about becoming king, it is also about deciding what kind of institution he wants to lead. The monarchy has always depended on a balance between tradition and adaptation. Too much distance from the past can create instability, but refusing to adapt can create another kind of problem. William will eventually face that balance directly, and the people around him may help shape how he approaches it. Princess Anne represents a generation deeply connected to traditional royal duty. Catherine represents the next generation of royal leadership beside William. George, Charlotte, and Louis represent the future beyond them. Camilla's position belongs to the current reign alongside King Charles, and the wider family exists around all of these relationships. It is a complicated structure, which is exactly why a story involving even a supposed disagreement can immediately attract attention. Because people are not simply watching for gossip, they are watching for signs of change. Who stands together? Who appears close? Who takes on responsibility? Who steps forward? And who may be expected to influence the monarchy of tomorrow? Behind the scenes, however, the biggest development may already be unfolding in plain sight. William is gradually becoming more central to the public image of the royal family. That does not require a secret confrontation to be true. It is a natural consequence of his position as heir. The closer he moves toward the throne,
the more significant his decisions and public relationships become. And one day, the responsibility currently held by King Charles is expected to pass to him. That reality changes the way every royal story involving William is interpreted. An ordinary disagreement becomes a question about leadership. A family relationship becomes a question about influence. A public appearance becomes a clue about the future. And that may be why the idea of William defending Princess Anne resonates so strongly. It creates an image of continuity. The future king standing alongside one of the monarchy's most experienced figures. The next generation recognizing the contribution of the previous one, and the institution appearing to protect its own foundations. Whether any specific confrontation happened as claimed is another matter entirely, but the symbolic power of that image is undeniable. And then comes the question everyone wants answered. What would truly make William lose patience? Would it be criticism of his family? Would it be a challenge to Catherine? Would it involve one of his children? Would it concern the monarchy itself? No one can honestly answer that without verified evidence from a specific situation. But William's position creates a difficult reality. As the heir, he must balance personal emotion with public responsibility. A future king cannot respond to every controversy like an ordinary person. His words carry weight. His actions are interpreted. His silence can become a headline. His reaction can become a political and public story. That makes restraint a necessary part of royal life. But restraint should never be confused with weakness. And perhaps that is why dramatic stories about William finally snapping continue to attract attention. People want to know where the calm public image ends and the private person begins. They want to know what he truly thinks. They want to know what would make him draw a line. But those answers cannot be invented. And in this story, there is another reason to remain focused on what is actually known. Camilla's daughter is a real person who does not hold the same official royal role as William or Princess Anne. Without reliable evidence of a public confrontation, attributing humiliating conduct to her as fact would be irresponsible. The same is true of claims about William's alleged reaction. A dramatic headline is not proof of an event.
A viral story is not automatically evidence, and speculation does not become fact simply because it is repeated. But that brings us to the biggest twist of all. The lack of confirmation does not erase the underlying reason this story is so compelling. It exposes it. At its heart, this is a story about loyalty. Who does William stand beside? Who represents the traditions he may want to preserve? How will he manage the complicated relationships within a family that is also a global institution? And as he moves closer to the throne, will his decisions reveal a clearer picture of the monarchy he intends to lead? Those are questions that no sensational headline can answer overnight. The answers will emerge slowly, through decisions, through responsibilities, through the people William chooses to rely upon, and through the way he handles moments of pressure. Princess Anne's experience may become increasingly valuable in that process. She has seen the monarchy at its strongest and its most difficult. She has survived intense public scrutiny without becoming defined by the daily cycle of royal drama. And as William prepares for the future, experience like that may prove invaluable. But another question remains. Will the next generation follow exactly the same path? Probably not. Every era of the monarchy has had to adapt. William's generation faces a completely different media environment. Every photograph can travel worldwide in seconds. Every rumor can become a trending topic. Every unverified claim can create millions of reactions before the facts are established. That may be one of the greatest challenges facing the monarchy of the future. How do you maintain privacy when everyone expects access? How do you preserve dignity when controversy generates more attention than routine duty? And how do you prevent every alleged disagreement from becoming an international spectacle? For William, those challenges may become even more intense when he becomes king.
And that is why stories like this one, even when the central allegations are not verified, still reveal something important. The public is already testing the future. Every story becomes a question. Every rumor becomes a hypothetical crisis. Every relationship is examined for signs of strength or division. And William remains at the center of it all. The title promised an explosive clash. It suggested humiliation. It suggested anger. It suggested that William went nuclear. But the available information does not establish those events as fact. The real story is more subtle and perhaps more significant. The monarchy is entering another period of transition. King Charles represents the present. Princess Anne represents experience and continuity. Camilla holds a central position in the current royal structure. William and Catherine represent the future, and behind them is an entirely new generation. The relationships between these figures will continue to evolve. Not every difference will be a feud, not every disagreement will become public, and not every dramatic claim will turn out to be true. But the future of the monarchy will depend, in part, on how these relationships are managed. William will eventually have to make difficult decisions. He will have to determine who plays what role. He will have to balance family with institution, tradition with change, privacy with public expectation, and personal loyalty with constitutional responsibility. Perhaps that is the real reason this story has captured attention. People are not simply asking whether the alleged clash ever happened. The deeper question is this: when Prince William finally becomes king, who will stand closest to him, and how far will he be willing to go to protect the monarchy he believes should survive after him?